The Libyan Foreign Bank operates across London, Spain, and Italy. What is the most notable shift you have observed in how European markets are engaging with more transparent, sustainable, and values oriented financial models?
Yeah, the presence of the Libyan Foreign Bank across these European countries has given us an advantage, that we are able to operate in multiple markets, not only in markets that have trade relations with Libya, but across the African continent and into the Middle East as well. What we have seen as far as the transformation is one that there is a lot of support from on an institutional level in order to improve the capacity within these organizations to be able to understand the local requirements, ensure that governance is something that is established on the forefront proactively as opposed to reactively. At the same time, it is facing a lot of challenges when it comes to some of the traditional transactions that are, people use, providing trade finance facilities, bank guarantees, some of the more basic needs that you have to have in trade financing. It's expanded and evolved into much more sophisticated and diverse product lines that customers did not have access to, whether it's customers in the Middle East or North Africa into Europe and vice versa. And playing that bridge, providing that role is something that is unique for the Libyan Foreign Bank because of our existence in over 25 countries through multiple participations that we have. It gives us that capability.
As Libya works to rebuild its global economic presence, what cross border financial opportunities do you see as most capable of creating real economic impact for the country?
I mean, there's so many different requirements in order to bring Libya up to speed and to help participate in the transformation of Libya's economy. Libya's economy relies heavily on oil and gas revenues. However, the distribution of that liquidity and that foreign currency that's coming in is still struggling in the sense of that the needs far outweigh what's available right now from a liquidity standpoint. And this is where the need for FDI and foreign direct investment into Libya sort of puts us on the forefront as the financial gateway for a lot of these partners that are looking to invest into Libya, as well as for Libyan institutions that are looking to partner with international subject matter experts and industry leaders in order to leverage their expertise and their success that they've had in their respective industries. We have a key role to play. One of the key things is to establish financial credibility, financial confidence. And that only comes with time and establishing proper lines of defense, proper processes and oversight and the transparency of what's happening within our organizations. That only builds up the confidence level both for the investors that are looking to work in Libya, as well as for the Libyan institutions who are looking for real partners and not necessarily just opportunistic tactical transactions, but more long-term strategic partnerships that ensure the longevity of those partnerships and at the end of the day, the ultimate bottom line, which is improving the quality of life for Libyans or for people who are living in Libya. And this is the role that Libyan Foreign Bank is looking to play.
LFP occupies a strategic position between Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. What unique competitive advantage does this geographic reach give you in today's rapidly changing financial environment?
Yeah, just like I mentioned, I mean, our presence in over 25 countries and 3 different continents through our banking participation network provides us that unique leverage. The other thing is, we're a bank that's been operating for over 53 years now. A lot of our subsidiaries and participations that we invest in have been key players in their local markets. So if you look at in some of the African countries, our banks are sometimes some of the first banks. Our bank in Uganda, for example, is one of the banks that helped a lot of local entrepreneurs get started in their business. And when I go and visit them right now, they always recognize that. However, there is a need and an appetite for doing more for them. I think we've come a long way from a time standpoint, but we still have a lot of catching up to do when it comes to the transformation, whether it comes to the type of services that we provide or the type of clientele that we can cater to. So one of the unique factors, the other unique factors, is that because of our visibility into what's happening and tapping into these different markets, we can play the bridge. For example, right now we have a bank in London, BACB, which is one of the best trade finance banks into the African continent. We can play a bridge within the African countries as far as the different trade relations between West Africa and South Africa and East Africa and North Africa. So that kind of relationship is something that's unique to our network. We can provide correspondent banking services and trade financing facilities and distribution within the banking network to provide a leverage for our clients who are looking to do business within the region. So it's something that is unique, but at the same time, it brings its own challenges because expectations are typically outweighing the capabilities. You have different regulations and regulatory control, regulatory restrictions that you have to abide by. And sometimes those provide a challenge for us to be able to deliver what we would like to deliver. But these challenges always bring with them opportunities for us to learn and to improve and transform how we're doing business. And this is what is unique to us. So.
As a platinum sponsor of the fourth AlBaraka Summit in London, what core message did you want investors, industry leaders, and policymakers to take away from your participation this year?
Yeah, it's been an honor for us. This is the first time we sponsor the AlBaraka Forum, and it's for multiple reasons. One is because of the legacy that AlBaraka Forum brings, and this is in itself a transformation. The forum, this is the fourth year that this is held here in London. However, it's a result of a long legacy that was started by the late Sheikh Saleh and others and some of his partners. This is something that is visionary, and we want to be a part of it. As Libyan Foreign Bank and as throughout our network, we want to be a part of this vision of establishing the Islamic economic guidelines for many different reasons, in addition to the moral obligation to it, but also from an economic standpoint. Islamic economic policy and vision has proven that it not only drives or motivates doing the right thing, but it's also proven to be economically successful. A lot of people have been very successful and financially have benefited from the stability, the transparency, and the ethical practices that are imposed by the Sharia compliance in banking. But we want to take it to the next level, meaning we want to go away from being a niche kind of a market space or an opportunity to something that is part of a much wider product line that is offered throughout the banking network globally, because we feel like this could potentially help address some of the challenges that the global economy is facing today, and we're a big believer in that. And we want to play our role, in addition to the fact, coming back to the first point I mentioned about being the financial gateway into Libya. Libya's banking system is by law Sharia compliant and based on Islamic financing. However, we've got a long way to go as far as bringing up our infrastructure, our policies, and getting all of our commercial banks up to speed to where they are offering the proper product lines and providing the right investment opportunities for the Libyan people. So yeah, that's the message we want to relay in this summit.
Working across different European regulatory systems gives LFB a unique vantage point. What single regulatory or supervisory improvement would most enhance the ability of cross-border banks to expand effectively?
Yeah, this is a space where as banks in general, we have very little control over. You're always reactive to these policies and regulatory decisions, and you have no choice but to abide by them. However, what we've seen is that the volatility that the global economy is seeing, and a lot of these reaction and counter reactions, is driving some policies into further controls and restrictions, because there is an appetite and a need to improve oversight and to improve controls. However, a lot of times that's counterproductive, and what we feel like the technology and the enhancements that we've seen from a core banking system, as well as just the intra-banking communications and visibility as far as data and the decision making, creating this core competency to be able to make proper informed decisions. This needs to have some policy as well. This needs to have some regulations, because if it's abused, then it's used for the wrong things. And this is the big challenge with artificial intelligence and the whole moral discussion about how do you use AI. I think it's something a lot more simple than that. Is that when you've got certain platforms and you don't use them properly, then it's counterproductive. It starts creating issues that you don't necessarily have today, and then instead of resolving some of the challenges, you're actually creating a lot of other new challenges, and it becomes a vicious circle. So what we tried to drive was to make sure we put into practice the spirit of these regulations, try to improve the legislations and the restrictions. And then our unique position gives us that visibility to some success stories of where things work in certain countries and trying to duplicate that in other situations. And this is something that it's an ongoing process. I don't think there's a start and an end to it. It's just an ongoing process that you have to continuously improve. And this only happens through communication, through visibility, and informing people about some of these regulations and how do you provide the right level of visibility in order to make proactive, informed decisions within the regulatory environment, as opposed to having to deal with fines and imposing restrictions because the alternative to that is the reactive part, and that's usually very costly and sometimes very damaging. So.
Looking ahead, how do you see the Libyan Foreign Bank strengthening its role as a financial connector between Africa and Europe amid ongoing global financial transformation?
I mean, there's so many different things that we can do because of our presence. But I think one of the priorities we have is making sure that we rebuild the trust. We rebuild the bridge of intra-banking as well as trade relations between institutions and investors, as well as the end users, the consumers. As a bank, we have a responsibility to play not only on the financing side, but on the regulatory side and on the visibility and data collection. We have visibility into certain things that other institutions don't necessarily have. So within the proper regulatory environment, we have a responsibility to share that and to be able to build proper informed decisions. For example, if you're looking in the African continent, this is one of the fastest growing economies in the world. Everybody has an eye on Africa, not only because of its raw material and resources, but also because it's one of the biggest underdeveloped economies where there's opportunities to provide products and services that weren't necessarily there. However, the infrastructure in place doesn't necessarily support that. Roads and rail and seaport infrastructure is still quite underdeveloped. So from a banking standpoint, we feel like we can provide a lot of support for institutions to make sure that the government and sovereign investments go into the proper infrastructure development, and then private sector investments provide the services and the products based on this topology that needs to be in place. And I think you've got some untapped opportunities in many different places where, as a bank, we can provide not only because of Libya's geographic presence and its ability to sort of play that role as a gateway into the continent, but also the other way around, as being able to be a platform for value-added services and value-added manufacturing and products, in addition to the raw materials and resources that are available that can be leveraged in so many different sectors, including energy and medicine and food supply and others. And this is something that I feel like it's a huge, ambitious objective and goal, but you have to start. You have to start in building the foundation properly with a vision and long-term strategies. And I think that is the only way to be able to conduct transformation in a proper way that will really be reflected on the quality of life of individuals, which is our ultimate goal.
AlBaraka Forum for Islamic Economy brings regulators, financial institutions, and global industry leaders together in one dialogue. From your perspective, what value do such platforms provide to a cross-border bank like LFB operating in both Muslim and non-Muslim countries?
Oh, it's critical. I mean, these types of forums are important. You get out of it what you put into it. So depending on your objective out of these types of events, you're going to get back what you invest. We brought representatives from many different participations, employees, the top level management and some of their teams came here to be able to talk to each other and talk to other experts in the industry. For us, it's critical because there's examples, for example, we talked today about credit rating and the ESG benchmarks and scorecards. This is something that is a huge need in the global market right now. Banks rely heavily on credit ratings. Your Standard & Poor's and your Fitch and your Moody's and these types of benchmarks are critical for you to be able to attract investment and be able to establish relationships between other institutions. However, those don't necessarily reflect the nature and the uniqueness of some of our markets that we work in. So we are definitely in need when it comes to Islamic financing and Islamic economic metrics. There are certain factors that are critical, both for the investors and for the institutions, as well as for the end user. So this is an opportunity. For example, today's forums, we talked about also the arbitration platforms when it comes to the OIC financial or investment bilateral agreements and other examples. This is the type of forum where you can hear examples from other regions and other experts who have conducted some of this work, and to be able to make sure that you pick up from where they ended and you improve on that. So yeah, these types of forums are critical, and whether we're sponsoring it, whether we're attendees, whether it's whatever role we play in it, is something that I think needs to be sort of supported, needs to be established as a key milestone for being able to get together and check the pulse. Next year when we meet, we should be able to not talk about the same things we talk about this year, but to be able to see how much progress have you made, what can we learn from some of the mistakes that we've made in the previous year, and then move on from there. So it needs to be a transformative, but also a platform to be able to recognize, celebrate, but also reestablish the focus on the vision of where we need to go, and reprioritize the task, because the mission, like I said, is a very long term. It's much beyond our lifetime. It's something that is generational vision. And we are here because of a vision of 45, 50 years ago. Someone had a vision to be able to establish such platforms in order to establish this message and this vision. And this needs to be sustained and continued.
How do you envision Islamic economy in the upcoming 5 years, especially for young minds and entrepreneurs?
Islamic economy is a platform for investment that is trusted. And I think whether we go back to the financial crisis of the late 2000s or many other dark points in the economic timeline, most recently the COVID crisis, Islamic financial institutions have proven that their stability, the ethical basis of their business model, and the ability to connect the bridges, connect the dots between the need and the opportunities that are there, and also the supply as far as money and liquidity. Today you have young people who are having access to more liquidity. However, they're not able to make informed decisions. A lot of it is impacted by social media, by trends and hashtags and other metrics that have nothing to do with financial or economic metrics. Islamic economy, I think, establishes a proper baseline, and it's moved away now from being a specific niche kind of investment for people who are driven by religious reasons or moral reasons. Now it is becoming a product within the global market where people who are interested in making a profit, interested in doing the right thing, and also making profits in a sustainable model, it's provided that platform. I think now the next transformation is to be able to establish the bridge within the global economic market. How can you sustain and maintain these Islamic financial investment models within the global market, and not necessarily have to be stuck behind the label of, no, this is only for Muslims, or only for people who are religious, or only for people who have a certain view on investment. No, this is a product line that can impact the quality of life for people across the globe, for all humanity. And it's a part of the economic makeup and part of the policies that need to be addressed in every single country. It doesn't have to be a Muslim country or a Muslim majority country. Regulators in every country should be able to provide this, because it is something that adds value to their local economies, that improves the quality of life of their people, and provides opportunities that would not be there otherwise.